Hey everyone, this is Josh back with Cardboard Chronicles, and today is Q&A day. The last video I posted, I asked you guys to send me your questions, and I also posted on Instagram. I got a bunch of questions there, and I got a lot of great questions sent to me. So I appreciate everyone that sent me their questions. I'm excited about this video. I don't pretend to know everything about the hobby, but I'm gonna run through these and hope you guys enjoy the video. I'm just trying something new, gonna change it up a little bit. Questions are all very unique and awesome, so I think it'll be a fun video. So yeah, thanks again for sending me those. I'll just jump right into them. So first question is from S. Howley 2003. First of all, I just want to say I love seeing your Instagram posts every Friday where it's like a picture of you with your beer watching the Cardboard Chronicles. So I appreciate that. Thanks for posting that. Those always make my day on Fridays. So you asked, what's next? You have a very specific focus for your PC. When will your goal be met, and what is next for you? Cash out, Pokemon retro rookies? That's a good question. In the last couple of weeks, I have been shifting some of my focus just because I am getting towards the end of some of my specific goals that I've had, and you guys have seen that my goals were very specific. I still have quite a bit of stuff on that list. It's just everything left on that list is getting harder and harder to find, so I have had to adjust. My focus now is kind of shifting more towards obtaining like more desirable cards within the hobby so that I can use to trade and to kind of expand my horizons and people that I'm meeting in the hobby, and just obtaining more rare cards that other people find desirable in the hobby. It gets me more, sort of ingrained in the hobby. I'm meeting new people, like I said, and I can use those as trade in the future. I'm moving around. I'm kind of taking the approach that Justin 610 Sports Cards does. He's talked about how he'll go through different phases of things that he likes collecting. He'll move on to things that he likes, at the time, anything that catches his eye. So I'm kind of doing that now. Like right now, I'm going into like Prism and Chrome rookies of active players that are good players. I've looked at getting into some Kobe stuff. There's just different things that I'm looking at right now. There's not like one specific thing I'm after right now. Cash out? No, I don't think so. When I actually do cash out, I think that'll be a ways down the road, and that's a little bit more unpredictable. Pokemon, I've kind of hit all my goals there, and there's not really much further out that I want to go with Pokemon, so that one's tough. Retro rookies, I have thought about getting into some of the retro stuff. Like, it'd be cool to have like a Wilt rookie. I'm just not as familiar with that era of cards, especially like the condition and stuff, and looking for like what grade of PSA is most like cost effective. I don't know enough about that, but I have thought about getting into it. Next question: artistic pool player. What has been your biggest regret while in the hobby? If possible, name a specific instance. I'm curious in comparison to mine. Um, this is a tough question. Biggest regret? Probably selling my 98, 99 Anthony Hardaway jersey card. That's probably my favorite jersey card right now. I bought it fairly cheap at the time, and then it had sold for eBay a lot higher than I thought it was worth or what I paid. And I sort of just panicked and like sold mine, thinking, I can't just sit on this difference of what it's worth versus what I paid. So I sold it, and then I immediately wanted it back, and I haven't been able to find one since. That was a regret. Probably not buying more LeBron stuff early on. I was pretty hesitant to get into the high end stuff, and obviously I would have done a lot better financially if I had bought a lot of the big stuff earlier on. I don't regret that too much because I don't think I would have done it any differently if I'd started over. The way I started, excuse me, I approached it, sort of slowly, and I like the way that I did that, so I don't regret it too much. Refractor Junkie asks, what are your favorite Panini sets? Seeing that you've been picking up some Galactics, any others piquing your interest? I do really like the Galactics a lot, and I'm looking to pick up more than just LeBron. Some different key players. I won't get into all the players, but I do like the Galactic. I like Revolution in general. I like the Revolution auto sets. They're all on card. I like a lot of their stuff, and I even like some of the other serial numbered ones like Cosmic, and I'm blanking on some of the other ones, but I like the Cosmic one. Other than that, 2012 Prism is definitely I'm interested in that. I have a LeBron refractor. I'm looking at getting some Hardaway stuff from there. I really like that they only have like the gold, silver, and green. I like that it's more attainable to get everything from those sets. I do like 2012 Prism. Other than that, it's not that I don't like a lot of it. I'm just not familiar with as much as some of you other guys. I am open, like I said, I'm opening up my horizons a little bit, and I'm looking more into it. So I'm sure I'll find some along the way, and I will keep you guys up to date with that on things I pick up on Instagram. So you'll be able to keep up with that. Right now, it's Galactics and 2012 Prism, like I said. Let's see. Next question. SP Authentic 84, Joe. What's up, man? Why are SPX promotion autos so hard to find? Well, I mean, you did just land your your dream card from that set. Also a card that I'd like to get someday, the Anthony Hardaway SPX promo auto. They are numbered to 100. Anything numbered to 100 and less from that year is going to be tough to find, just because it's so old, and that's a pretty desirable set and a desirable card. So I'm assuming it's locked up in a lot of PCs. It's in different areas. Who knows where they are? That set in particular, I don't know. Some sets are just harder to find than others. There's not really an explanation for that. Like the high voltage 500, we've talked about how that one's hard to find. It's kind of random. Um, I mean, the one that you got is literally the only one I've seen. Really glad you picked that one up, though. I'm glad it's in your hands. Penny PC 1 cent. I like the name, man. Good job. What made you start collecting and PCing Anthony Hardaway? I think I talked about it in my interview video. I basically just like fell into the marketing trap that was the 90s with Jordan and Hardaway, and I just sort of gravitated towards Hardaway more. With like the little penny ads, and when I was a kid, I had like Hardaway posters all over my wall. I had Hardaway Magic like kids locker. I had the shoes, Sports Illustrated for Kids magazines. He was in those. I had just a ton of stuff for him, and so when I got back into collecting after the Pokemon stuff, he was just sort of the first person I gravitated towards, just because of the nostalgia of collecting him, or sorry, being such a big fan of his when I was a kid. It just was like an easy transition into that. And I have seen him play live once. When he came to the Suns, I saw him play. Dar's 90s cards. What's up, man? From a purely aesthetic perspective, what are your favorite insert sets from the 90s, early 2000s, and why? Don't feel limited by the players in said sets. Just give your favorite designs. So I know what you're shooting for, and I appreciate the question. Just purely on design, obviously taking money out of the equation. I have plucked a few here for this question, and these are the top 3 that I've come up with. This one right here is from 97, 98. It's the premium player insert. I've just always loved this card. It's fairly cheap. I think it's kind of underlooked. I think I paid like $30 for it, but it's got a really nice shine to it. It's got a great action shot. It's got kind of a unique design. It's got the second picture of him in the back wearing the blue pinstripe. It's got the action shot wearing the black, and on the back it's got him wearing a white pinstripe. It's sort of like got a little bit of everything. It's just a really unique looking card. I just love it. I don't really care how much that one costs. This one's probably my favorite. This is the high voltage 500, and this came from like dollar packs back in the day, NBA hoops. So it's crazy that you can get such a unique design card from such a cheap pack. But I love these cards. These are really hard to find. Just ask Michael Mueller, Double X the Beast. These things are really tough to track down. I'm glad I have one of these, and this is a mint 9, which is kind of cool. I love this set. Like the action shot is incredible. The white pinstripe jersey. It's just everything about this set is phenomenal for me. I love that insert. And then the last one is the Ultra Stars Gold. I'm a sucker for shiny stuff. I think you guys know that by now, but this was the first like big card that I ever bought, like over $100, and I love this card. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's a great insert. Thanks for the question. Coleman Cards. Actually, Michael Coleman Cards sent me like a care package, and it arrived today, so I felt this is a good time. So he sent me this card, Flair 94, 95 Hardaway black pinstripe with the retro 90s hair. I love this card. It's so sick. So thanks for sending me that, man. I really appreciate it. And he sent me this cool note. I thought I'd embarrass him and read it on here. Thanks for an incredible podcast. The last year, I was thinking about how cool it would be to have one on cards, and when I found yours, I was immediately sucked in. Let's say you got to. Let's just say you gotta. You've gotten me through a ton of LA traffic, and I know that the traffic in LA really sucks. So I'm glad that this was able to help ease the pain of those drives, man. Over the last few months, good luck in search of your penny green. Thank you. I'm wearing the green shirt today in honor. I just pulled this from an old pack a coworker got me for Christmas a few years back as a joke because they all make fun of me collecting. Ha, collect on, man. And he says, I didn't tape the top because I didn't want to ruin the presentation. I appreciate that. I'm gonna keep it in this top loader. It's fresh. I love it. Thanks, man. So thanks for sending me that. I really do appreciate it. That's awesome. I'm glad I could help make your drive more enjoyable. That's kind of what what podcasts are so great about. It's very like passive, and you can like distract from crappy parts of your day. So your question was, in old Beckett's, I remember there was always a card the hobby wishes had existed. I specifically remember 96 autographics Kobe, 97 UD game jerseys T-Mac. The cards were Photoshop but looked sick. There were a ton of Duncan 97, 98 big inserts compared to T-Mac. I was always jealous. Michael collects T-Mac if you didn't pick up on that. Especially EX 2001 Jambalaya. A T-Mac would have been nice. Is there any big insert set that Penny was left out of you wish you had? Could be modern as well. Backup question. Why did you choose green for your pod banner? Thanks. I thought about this a little bit. One that most people don't think about is like a cool insert set is linchpins. I love that set, and I almost want to just like buy a couple just because Penny's not in it. I love the linchpins. It's just a very unique design. It's nothing crazy price wise. They're awesome cards. Maybe I'll pick up someone not Jordan or Kobe just to save some money and have one. 97, 98, Sign of the Times. That's a freaking sweet set, and I'm pretty sure the penny card was actually in one of the articles you're describing. I think there's a Photoshop picture of the card. Trying to think of something else he wasn't in. Those are the two big ones for me. 96 autographics, and there's actually like a custom, fake card of the 96 autographics penny, and that's like the only fake card I've like seriously considered buying just because like it is a pretty awesome card. They have like the team color, so they have blue, and then it's like they have the blue auto version, which would be spectacular. That would be just a sick card. I would love to have that. So those would be the three. Great question. So from Iverson Cards, who recently, if you guys have noticed on Instagram, he's leaving the hobby for some for some family reasons. So we're gonna miss you, man. If you need some Iverson stuff, go check out his Instagram. He's selling a lot. In your honest words, where do you line yourself? Collector, pure collector, reseller, flipper, hustler? That's a good question. And I had initially started, from the perspective of just a pure collector, and sort of recently, not so recently, I've dabbled in the flipping, the reselling, the hustling. But I would consider myself all of those, to be honest. Like I don't put myself in any of those one categories. I think I don't think there's anything wrong by doing any one of those things within the hobby. As long as you're not scamming people, creating fakes, bringing down the hobby. I think there's a place for all of those things if you do it the right way. Especially like the flipping and the hustling stuff. I'm doing that stuff just in order to feed the hobby fire even more. Any profits that I gain from flipping, I'm putting it right back into my own PC. Another thing I would say is I'm very community based within the hobby. Obviously, like this channel, I have a lot of friends in the hobby now, helping people find cards for their PC. I messaged Michael the other day, the big Grant Hill lot. I was like, hey man, can I help buy stuff? I know it's like a ton, and it'd probably be a lot to take on to just buy it all. So is there any way I can help? I try to do a lot of that kind of stuff too. So I wouldn't really categorize myself in one of any of those, and I don't think anyone. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to. Sorry. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to do all of those things and really expand your horizons in the hobby. Splum Cards. Thanks for the penny auto again, man. The USA card. You and your guests have mentioned card bubbles and how we're in one right now. If you can envision the bubble popping, what does it look like to you? We talked about the possibility of being in a bubble right now. No one can actually predict that we are in a bubble. Um, it's just sort of like we're just sort of guessing at this point. If I would say that if the bubble did pop, I think you would see a lot of the like mid tier stuff take a big hit, and sort of like the middle upper tier um, classification of cards take a big hit. I don't think you'd see too much of a hit to the really high end stuff. That stuff is still so rare, and some like the higher end collectors aren't as affected by market crashes or things of that sort. So I think if the bubble did pop, you'd see. I mean, you'd overall see like if the economy went down a lot. If the stock market went down like it's doing right now, and if it popped or whatever, we had another recession. I think you'd still see some decent value in some of the higher end rare stuff, as long as you have um, high condition, rare stuff, desirable cards that other people want. There's always going to be demand for that. I think you'd see like maybe some of your like Prism stuff and maybe some of the like more contrived stuff lose some of its value, just because like those are the types of people that are that's sort of the range of cards where people are going to be looking um, to sell, just to help fund whatever reasons they have. So I think you'd probably see some prices dip across the board, but I don't think like the bubble would actually burst on some of this higher end stuff. That's just my opinion. It's really impossible to predict what would happen in any sort of like economic recession or like bubble. People have been guessing that we're about to hit this big crash for the last 4 years, just because of the you know how consistently up it's been for such a long time since the 28 crash. So I mean, it's really hard to predict, and I haven't been in the hobby long enough, honestly. Like, I don't know what happened in 2008 with the cards. I would say probably something similar. So I would probably look back to those trends from those years and try to find from there. I think as long as you keep collecting what you like, you should be safe. Um, Dave and Mazel from YouTube. How is the internationalization of the hobby progressing? Which markets, US, Asia, Europe, Australia, are thriving the most? How are kids involved these days? Do young people appreciate the hobby? Is Pokemon a starting point for switching over to sports cards at some point, or is it something completely different? What are the latest community trends? Meaning, how do people connect the best? Forums, Facebook, Instagram, private deals. Thanks. That's a lot of questions. I'm going to try to get through all of these. So, internationalization of the hobby progressing. I would refer you to the interview I did with Card Hobby Official for how things are progressing in the Asian market. That was really great insight. And then I did a video with an Australian collector, LG and KG. Got the sweet 21 KG collection. He's actually from New Zealand, so sorry if that's like offensive, the New Zealand Australia thing. Anyways, watch that interview. He talks a lot about how the big problem that he's facing is like shipping, right? Like having to ship cards around. As technology gets better and as the internet opens up even more, I think you're just going to see that progress even more, especially like with the NBA being such a global game. I would say the hobby is progressing and following along with that popularity around the world of the NBA. It's a more accessible game, uh, than football, American football here. So I think overall the NBA is in great shape, and with that, the hobby I feel is in great shape internationally as things become more accessible through shipping. From America to these outside countries. I think you'll see it just get even more efficient and better, especially with like shipping services that we have here, and like COMC, eBay shipping program. There's all these different things that are making it more accessible. So I think it's just going to get better over time. Let's see. How are kids involved these days? That's a good question. Watch the Mealy Pops interview. He talks a lot about that. Just like how excited he is and how much he's pushing for getting younger kids into his actual brick and mortar store. So I would say, and then also I went to the national. I talked about going to the Instagram event, and it was mostly younger collectors there. I think it's in great shape, honestly. I think the younger collectors are a lot smarter than when I collected as a kid. I think they're more aware of what's happening financially with the cards. They're a lot smarter with how they spend their money. They're a lot better at flipping, and like it's just the reality of today. Like the kids are more it's less about just like opening packs and like getting what you get. It's more about the money, which I totally understand. That's sort of just like the way it is today, and I think the younger kids are a lot smarter about that, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Do young people appreciate the hobby? I think maybe that's what you're getting at with the question. Do they still appreciate it even though they're more financially involved than maybe in years past? I think they do. I think they do appreciate the hobby. I did see a lot of younger collectors, even with like a lot of Wilt Chamberlain stuff. I've seen a lot of Jordan stuff from those guys. So I think they appreciate the hobby and like the the history of the game in itself and understanding like not just like the new product and that's coming out every year. I think they appreciate sort of like the full gamut of cards from all the different eras. So um, I think it's easy for us like older guys and adults to just sort of like slam on the younger generation. But I personally am staying positive about it, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. And we as the older guys need to keep encouraging the younger generation, getting more involved with them, and even going younger than that, like getting the younger kids, even younger than that, involved by giving them free cards if you see them at a show, hand them out free stuff. I know I'm trying to get my son involved as much as I can. He's only 3, so it's a little bit, he's pretty young. He's still too young for this, but yeah, I think I think the future's in great hands, and I think it's the most important thing we face as a hobby is to keep this going with the younger generation. So I keep stressing on it throughout my videos. Is Pokemon a starting point for switching over to sports? Um, Maybe with my generation, just because Pokemon came out, at the perfect time for me when I was that age to get into it, and I was into sports as well. I think it's pretty rare, honestly. I don't actually know anyone else that does Pokemon and sports other than Scott, who does a little bit of sports. It's pretty rare. I think the two of us are the only two I even know of. So I think I don't know. I kind of feel like if the younger generation is getting into Pokemon now, I don't see that jumping over to sports as naturally as you might hope. What are the latest community trends? Meaning, how do people connect the best? I think all of them, honestly. Like, I think they all have their place. I think forums are a great place for like focused discussions on a specific topic through threads. I think Facebook is good for selling. It's got like NBA Hotspot's a great channel. There's a '90s one. There's football one. There's one for even for just like me to go through Penny Hardaway sales. And there's great stuff to like show off through Facebook. Instagram is personally my favorite because the focus is just around the pictures of the cards themselves. That's what it's all about for me and everybody is just like the cards themselves, what they look like, and Instagram just sort of like feeds directly into that. So I think Instagram is great. Private deals. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that one, but I mean, there's obviously like lots of private deals going on, even like through through Instagram, through Facebook. Those will be considered private deals, and I think for now eBay is still king in terms of sales, but these other ones they have their place as well. And I think the more you get into the hobby, the more you find your community and people, and you don't have to go through eBay, and you can sort of make these direct deals, which is fantastic. The internet is just like it's always getting more open, it's always expanding. So I think we're not like settled on these things. It could grow and expand over time, and it's we should just embrace all of those things. What are your sorry, Artie Man 60, who's got a sweet Keith Van Horn collection? I love looking at your stuff, man. What are your thoughts on the amount of rookie cards being produced these days? Also, what ones do you think will hold the most value? A few friends of mine were talking numbers, and when we were done, I couldn't wrap my head around how many were produced. Um, that's a good question. I definitely think there are way too many rookie cards being produced, and then there's so many that you're getting into the like, what's the true rookie card and what's like the rookie card. It's like they're all technically rookie cards because they were produced that player's rookie year, but the term rookie and sort of the phenomenon about getting rookie cards is like um, so popular, and it's so there's so much money involved that like what's to stop these companies from just making like 1,000 rookie cards? And there's way more than that, I'm sure, but like just like 1,000 sets of different rookies. Like there's nothing stopping them from just creating more rookie cards because that's what people want. As a collector myself, it's troubling, and it's sort of like degrades the meaning of the best rookie card because basically everyone can have a rookie card extremely easily, and there's not like there's not like one that we all can sort of gravitate to. Which ones hold the most value? I would just say the ones that are going to be the most desirable from the sets that are most popular. Honestly, like um, if you just go back to look at like 96 Chrome versus Finest for Kobe's refractor, like PSA 9 of the Finest just sold for 800, and PSA and the Chrome sells for like 4 grand. So it's, I mean, they're both great cards, but one sells 4 times the amount. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, well, I think this could be the next Chrome or the next Prism. Like whatever people are putting their money into now, like those are the most popular ones. It could shift. I don't see it shifting away from Prism and National Treasures and Flawless at the moment. I think if you put your money in the ones that other people want, in general, that's going to hold its value. I mean, you'll see different sets pop up randomly over time that become more popular, but in general, it's fairly predictable. So I would say try to stick to those. I tried to get into like Todd Gurley, some football stuff, just because I like Todd Gurley, I like the Rams, and like I have a bunch of cool rookie cards. Like I have like a Prism Gold number to 10, which is a pretty sweet card. But all of his stuff is just so watered down, just because there's so many choices that like I'm sort of feeling what you're asking. Like I don't even know which ones to go for. Like is Prism even the thing in football, or was it Topps Chrome at the time? Like I have a bunch of those, but I kind of get I see what you're getting at with the question, and it is sort of frustrating. Like there's too many, but there's really no incentive for Panini and other companies to stop producing more rookie cards, because that's what people want. So I think that's just sort of the reality of it. David Siegel asks, "What could Panini do to make collectors from the '90s who loved UD and Topps come around to them?" I hear this question a lot. People saying like, "I wish Upper Deck would come back. I wish Topps would come back." I think that sounds great in theory. I don't think we know for sure like how they would produce modern cards. I don't see them doing it specifically very different from Panini, to be honest. This is just like this is the business model that Panini's come up with. This is what people are buying, and this is just sort of the way it is. Like if they weren't making money this way, they would do it another way. And if people like stopped buying cards the way that they're currently printed, then they would change. But this is what people buy, so I just don't see like I don't see what they could change to make that different. To answer your question, what would make collectors from the '90s? I think more stuff like Revolution, to be honest. That's kind of like a cop out answer, just because I'm a '90s collector and that's what I like. But it has like shorter print with the Galactic. It's something like that '90s collectors can appreciate, going after like actually really rare pieces of history, and like unique looking designs that aren't just like rookie patch autos, or people standing there holding a ball. It's more unique designs, and they come out a little bit later in the year, so the photography is a little bit better. That's one set that comes to mind. I'm struggling to think of other ways, but like I think just making things more rare, more short printed, and then like spending more time on their design and the action shots, and less on just sort of like pumping out as many sets as they can. And '90s guys really have a hard time with like sticker autos and like the redemption stuff. Those are like sort of new things that we're not used to, and sort of like turn us off towards like getting the card we want right away. So I think focusing more on like the quality versus the quantity would be a big thing. '90s b-ball cards. I appreciate all your comments on my Instagram and all my YouTube videos. I like reading what you have to say. 2 questions in one. What do you do? What's your day job? And what other interests, hobbies do you have? My day job is I'm a software engineer, specifically web development. I build web applications. I work for a company here in Arizona, and I built their web app. I do some other stuff on the side, building websites. I consult for different companies. I build sites for a number of different people. Other interests, hobbies. Cards is the big one. I'd say the other interest is probably like finances. I'm really into savings, how to invest. I'm really on this big thing right now where like saving a lot of your money and working towards like a younger retirement, retirement in terms of like, being financially free. I'm really into that kind of stuff. Mr. Money Mustache, if you've ever heard of him, he has a great podcast where he talks about this kind of stuff, and I'm really interested in that, especially with like the way politics are going in the world. And I think it's very important to, focus on being very financially responsible, and, not worrying about like having things that other people desire, which sounds stupid because I collect shiny basketball cards, but that's for me, and it's part of my investment strategy. So I'd say finances. What? And then you also had another question. What could Panini do to improve the basketball card collecting hobby? I get this question a lot, and I'm trying to, um, sum it up. But I think what I've been saying is just focus more on quality versus quantity with the number of sets. Try your best not to do the sticker autos, and then the redemption stuff. And I understand the reverse of that is like, do you want to just like wait till the end of the year in order to get the card? Maybe. Um, I think if Panini like printed less, just overall just like printed less stuff and put more effort into the designs of those and like the timings of the release, I think those fewer sets would be a lot more popular. Granted, I'm not an executive at Panini. I don't know like what business strategies they've tried before, or what would work for them. So clearly they know what they're doing. The thing that they're looking at the most is the bottom line. This is what people are buying, so this is kind of what works for them. For me as a collector, those are some of the things that I would like to see changed. But overall, I really don't have too much of an issue with the way they're doing things. There's different pockets of different sets that I can enjoy, and I really don't have to worry about the rest of them. So I think there's a little bit of something for everybody. And in the card world, you don't only have to focus on the new stuff. Like there's tons of older stuff that even younger kids can go back and look at. There's Jordan stuff from the 90s. There's vintage stuff. There's all kinds of different things that you can get into. So I wouldn't like put too much of the focus on what is Panini doing wrong, and sort of like open up and figure out what else out there that is there that I like. Mealy Pops, who had an awesome interview. You guys should check that one out. Jamil, um, your question is, what has been one of the most unexpected responses you have received in your interviews? What's the end goal for CC? Cardboard Chronicles. Who would win in a street fight? Little Penny, Little Penny Puppet, Kobe Puppet, or LeBron Puppet? he said, he messaged me. He's like, you better answer that last one. I will. What's been the most unexpected response? I'd probably say Nat Turner. When I sort of asked him about like the investing money side of it, and he basically was like, I don't care about that. It's really just about the cards, which I was pretty surprised by. I honestly thought like, this guy knows what he's doing financially. He's probably at least thinking about it in terms of an investment, and it really wasn't. It was really more of a genuine like, he really just wanted the cards, and whatever it took to get a lot of these, he was going to do it, and I was very surprised by that. Some of my other interviews, nothing too like surprising, I guess. I guess I'm just surprised by like just how willing and how open everyone is to wanting to come onto the channel. I thought I'd have a little bit of a harder time, and I really appreciate everyone that's come on so far, and I've enjoyed everyone that I've had. There hasn't been a single bad interview, and it's just like unexpected how open everyone is and how much everyone kind of enjoys it and coming on and how much fun they've had. So that's been great. What's the end goal for CC? I've talked to you about it a little bit, Jamil, but I have pretty lofty goals for CC. I think ultimately it's to bring more awareness to the hobby and grow the hobby. Honestly, like I would love to see it get back to the point where it was, in the late '90s, where there's a card shop in every corner. Kids were into it. I've been talking to a lot of people that like I went to high school with, and people of my age range, and even like some of the older people that I'm friends with, in their 40s and 50s, and we all sort of had this like common bond of like cards, and it sort of like brought people together in a unique way. And we've talked about that a lot on this channel. So just like bringing more awareness to the hobby, making it more fun. Yeah, really, I mean, like world domination for cards, I guess, it's like the extreme of it, like just making cards more accessible for everybody, and honestly getting kids more involved. I know you and I are both big on that, and it's a strong focus of mine in getting kids involved in cards, just because I think it's like a very genuine hobby, and I think it can be a lot of fun. It can connect people. It brings you closer to sports, brings you closer to physical activities versus like video games. So I think there's a lot of good in the hobby, and it can teach you about financial, it can teach you about money. There's a lot of good things that you can pull from cards, even as a kid. So who would win in a street fight? Little Penny Puppet, Kobe, or LeBron? Such an easy answer. It's Little Penny. And the answer is because he's the OG. Like these other puppets, they're not the OG. So he would just win just based on that. So I don't really have anything else to say about that. Jordan Hagedorn, watch the Jordan interview. That one was fantastic as well. Thanks for your question. If you could meet any three people, alive or dead, who would they be and why? I've been thinking about this one for like a day now. LeBron's the easy one, and Hardaway's the easy one. I'm just gonna pick one of those guys. I'll just say LeBron, just because I don't want to use two of my three on that. And then I thought about like Abraham Lincoln would be really cool, or Elon Musk is another person that's alive now. I would love to pick his brain on what grand scheme he has for like world domination and saving the planet and all that stuff. I think he's got a lot of huge ambitions, and I would love to like pick his brain on that. The third one will be Jesus, which is like I think like historically one of the most famous figures of all time. The Bible, like there's not we all know about that. So I think that'd be crazy, honestly, just like to meet him, and I won't get like all religious about it, like mostly from like a historical aspect. I think that'd be cool. Um, the 27 guy, that was kind of awkward. Sorry, that's a that's a tough question. The 27 guy, Adam, what's up, dude? I'm gonna get Adam on for another interview soon. I keep telling him that I haven't done it, but I will. He's making me get deep with the questions. Thanks, dude. Is flipping morally okay? I can't tell if you're like setting me up because you know that I like flip now, or you genuinely want to know the answer. But I like the question because you're making me think. Is it morally okay? Um, I will say yes. I think of flipping as sort of like any other like way that any business would survive. Like in order for a business to survive, you sort of like have to buy something at one price and like sell it for something higher. That's how you survive, right? Um, in terms of cards, like there's obviously ways you can get into flipping and have it be immoral. If you're like scamming people, or um, I'm trying to think of like other like bad ways to go about it. But in general, I think if it's done the right way, it's morally okay. Is obsessive card behavior healthy? When is it too much? I think any obsession doesn't have to be unhealthy. I think obsessive card behavior can be healthy. I think it can teach you great values. Like I said, it can teach you about finances. It can, um, have you meet new people, get you into new communities, boost your overall happiness as a person. I think there's a lot of good things you can pull from it. The word obsession is sort of like a loaded term that's sort of like derived in negativity. So it can obviously like get to a point where the obsession is too much, where it's like starting to like affect your actual personal life. It's getting in the way of your relationships immediately around you that aren't related to cards. Money, if you're ripping wax 20 times a day and you're just like spending your entire paycheck on cards, that obviously can be unhealthy. I think that's when you just start to cross the line. It definitely plays into like the gambling aspect of things. I think if you have like an obsessive gambling problem, then I would say cards probably aren't the best for you. Um, there's like good and bad obsession that you can pull from it, and I think as long as you're not on the bad side, I think it can be healthy. How do you make sure you're not being impacted by manipulation? I think we should just do an entire video on card manipulation and like pumping cards, because it's just like a very sensitive topic, and it's hard to even just like Adam, even just like you and I talking about a card can like artificially pump the value of that set or that card, and that wasn't even our intention. We just like genuinely like it. I'm even getting that question about Galactics now, like am I trying to pump the value of them? I didn't have any when I started talking about it, and I just genuinely enjoy the card. So it's like I'm not like intentionally doing it. Sometimes it's sort of like a byproduct of having a forum to talk about it. How do you make sure you're not being impacted? I would just say if something just doesn't feel right, like I would just say use common sense. If you feel like a card is doubled for no like real reason, then I would just avoid that card. Honestly, like the Jordan Fleer rookie just sort of like doubled in price for no real good reason. Or like if you see some player that like doesn't deserve to have his prices spike, I would avoid that. It's just really on you as an individual to like not just like follow the trends of prices going up. it's to sort of like find your little niche of like what you like to collect. I'm sort of like bringing people along with me on the Galactic, but I think it's just something that like I found wasn't super popular, and it just was like enjoyable for me. So I think sort of like going down your own path and like finding what you enjoy to collect as opposed to like what everyone else is doing will help you stay away from the manipulation. G Slayton, what's up, Grant? Um, when are you going to start setting up at shows? Man, if you would have asked me that like a couple months ago, even when I was at National, I would have said never. But now, like with the stuff that I'm focusing on now, the different cards that I'm obtaining, I'd say it's you know somewhat likely that I would set up at the next National. I'd probably do it the way Justin does it, where he sort of like um, it's like for sale, not for sale. He sets it out. It's sort of like more for him to like enjoy. Like he said, he does it to like enjoy his collection, and over the last year, he can sort of like see what he's built up and just like enjoy his cards for a few days. And I think that's a fantastic way to approach it. I would be up for something like that. I just wouldn't want it to like bog down for my ability to like wander the floor and talk to other people and look at other cards myself. And I know that's like a big thing for you, Grant. I would imagine you could easily set up, but you probably don't so far because you just like to go around and do your hustle and get your hustle on. So um, that's probably like similar for me. I'm sort of somewhere in the middle there. What's your ideas for PSA slow processing? Man, I really don't want to get into like flaming PSA and BGS. I think they both do a good job for the most part. But I know you and I have been sort of frustrated with the slow processing of PSA. Like I sent an order in early September and it was a 10-day order and I just got it back today. It's like a month and a half for a 10-day order. Like it's not a 10-day order. Um, I think you and I sort of talked about it a little bit. I think the biggest thing is like somehow find a way to like deter people from bulk grading like base prism stuff. I just don't see the point in grading anything that's worth less than what it costs you to get it graded, and especially in like 300 bulk orders. I think raising their prices on that kind of stuff or doing like the non-guaranteed like BGS does would really deter people from sending that much stuff in because you're not going to get it back for a year, so you can't like flip it. You can't immediately flip it, and raising the prices like you're less willing to want to grade base cards if it's $20 a base card to grade it. You're just like you're gonna immediately get rid of that part of the business model. And overall, like nobody wants to hear this, but if they just raise their prices overall, you're just gonna get like a smaller market of people that like more genuinely want to grade the cards instead of like people doing it to make money and flip the cards, which I know is a big part of grading. So it's hard to like say, and I don't like the answer of let's just hire more graders. I think the CEOs even come out and said like it's not that simple. We can't just hire more graders because then our quality is going to dip and like we're going to have a different issue. And their grading quality is like the only reason their business exists. So they can't just hire more graders. That's like a simple answer, but it's not that simple. I don't think there's any one like great answer. I think the pricing model maybe pull some ideas from BGS on the non-guaranteed, which I know everybody hates, but then do the 5-day service and like pay to have a nice card grade instead of sending 200 base cards, which is like my rant on that. But that's fine. Packers PC 715. This is my buddy from work. What's up, Ryan? I asked him to send me a question. He sent me like this super deep, thoughtful question, and it's great. It's just gonna like blow my mind right now. It's late at night. I'm trying to wrap my head around the question. What are your thoughts on sports cards? I'm gonna do them one at a time. What are your thoughts on sports cards and gambling? I touched on it with Adam's question. I think it's a very slippery slope. I think it's dangerous. Anyone that has a gambling addiction should steer clear of cards. It's 100% gambling in certain aspects of it, like Raz's and even some like the breaking stuff in certain aspects is 100% gambling. Like you are putting a low amount of money into it, hoping to get something bigger out of it. There's obviously like positive aspects of breaks where you're genuinely like, I want this team and I don't want to buy the whole box. So there's good parts to it, but a lot of it is being mistreated in terms of like I'm just straight up gambling. So it's definitely dangerous. Some people like gambling on it, and more power to them. Like, but if you're asking me, if you're like financially worried about something, I would stay away. But if you enjoy gambling for fun, this is, a cool way to gamble. Honestly, like Vegas is sort of one way to do it. You have your typical like casino gambling. This is a different way, and maybe you have enjoyment from that. That's great. Can the hobby have a negative downside when you consider the many unknown facets of the hobby, such as flipping, buying wax, participating in box breaks, razzes, constant changes in values and trends? Um, for sure. It can be, if you're not like prepared for these some of these different things, and like you just sort of jump into them without knowing what's going to happen. It can definitely like push you away from the hobby, especially early on. I know like you and I have talked about some of this stuff, Ryan. Like it, some of it can be very scary, and you just have to know what you're getting into, and use the community around you. I know like you've been asking me a lot of questions. I've been trying to help, steer you in the right direction of what's going to make you happiest and what's going to get you the collection that you want the most. And if depending on what your goals are, you just need to be more knowledgeable of what you're trying to do and like what you're getting into before you just start dropping money on stuff. Like I even tell people to just like watch the market for a while, like whether that's like a week or a month or whatever, and don't buy anything, and just like understand what the hobby's about and what the different facets of the hobby are, and understand what they are before you jump in. Because a lot of these, like I said, some of these are just straight up gambling. Um, like constant changes in card value and player trends. To that, I would say, if you're worried about investing and like money that you're putting into the hobby, just like think about that in terms of like what you're buying, what players you're buying. If you're worried about finances, if you're worried about like the investing side of it, don't buy like $5,000 RPAs of players that haven't played yet. Like it's just common sense to not, risk your money if that's what you're worried about on something that you're not sure, that you're not like, reduce your risk as much as you can in terms of things like that. If you buy Michael Jordan cards, in general, you're gonna do well financially because he's like the staple of the hobby. So, but if you don't enjoy collecting Jordan, I understand that. Maybe there's a different player you like to collect, and if you like just sort of the pure collecting side of it, I would say go more low end. Honestly, like there's a lot of great low end cards out there, and you can build an amazing PC, and you can enjoy the PC and how it looks just based on some of the lower end stuff, just because like you're not financially tied to your collection, and you can just enjoy the looks of the cards themselves. If you want to do both, um, you can get into like low end to fill the gap of like I haven't bought a card in a while, and then like save up for the stuff that is going to be worth something long term and that's going to hold value and something that's desirable within the hobby. I think, like I said, some of like the more mid tier stuff is where you can kind of like get in trouble, and like the brand new players coming out where you just don't know what's going to happen. That can be riskier. We're on to the second page, and Ryan's question continues with, how do you successfully avoid these potentially negative aspects of the hobby in order to keep a positive light on the hobby and keep someone from making bad decisions? That was sort of like, I've already answered some of this stuff. I just finished the question. Lingua Sports Cards. What's the best or your most favorite 1990s card that you pulled directly from a pack? Do you still have it? I really didn't do a lot of pack and box buying back when I was a kid. I mean, I was only like 9 and 10 at the time when I was collecting, so I really wasn't anywhere near as involved as I am today. It was more just like sort of I'd get a card here or there, maybe like a pack from my parents on Christmas that, here, and then the only real box that I ever opened was a 98, 99 Finest, and I remember opening that box just because, it was such a thrill at the time, and it was the only like major product that I ever like busted as a kid, and I took my time. It was like this whole day thing that was amazing, and from that I think I only pulled like a 98, 99 Vince Carter, which at the time was worth like $20 or whatever. I don't have that anymore. I bought another one just for like the nostalgia of having that card back, and it's cheaper now. But that was a really fun box to rip. I didn't get like any sweet no protector refractors or anything like that. Let's see. Cademan Moore, what inspired you to start making videos? What are some goals you have for the channel? I talked about this a little bit, but Scott S.M. Pratt kind of inspired me to start making my own videos. I sort of had a reach within the community to, be more involved and meet more people and sort of like expand my horizons, like I said. And Scott was kind of doing something similar, and I enjoyed his channel, so he sort of inspired me to do my own thing. And goals for the channel, I talked about with Jamil's question, but basically expand the hobby, grow it from the bottom up with kids, get them more involved, bring more enjoyment to the hobby, talk about different things, involve more people on the channel, just all that kind of stuff. Buy nice cards. Eric, what's up, man? Top 5 active players, no particular order, and then 5 through 10 the same. Trying to get me in trouble. My top 5 is pretty hard, and it's pretty hard and set. It goes LeBron, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, which I know like people are gonna freak out at me putting him that high. Anthony Davis at 4 and Giannis at 5. You can tell like what like type of player I think is the most influential in the league in terms of like skill and how much they can influence a game. So Kawhi for me is just like he's just the best two-way player. He's one of the few guys that I've actually seen be able to like check LeBron and actually like limit his production. Anthony Davis is just like he's just a freak. Like I've never seen anyone with that kind of skill and that height, the ability to shoot the ball. Like he's just an incredible athlete. He just needs to avoid this injury bug that he's had. Giannis, same thing. Like we just never seen these types of guys where they're this tall and they're able to like influence the game this much at that height, and they're able to like do everything on the court: dribble, shoot, pass, block, defend. Like you just don't see that from some of the point guards. Like they're not able to do as much on the court as some of these these freak tall guys. And then Durant, it's pretty obvious. Like he's obviously established himself as the second best player, if not the best. Just based on the last 2 finals, what he's been able to do. I never take anything away from him, even though I like LeBron better. 5 through 10, I'll go Curry, Harden, and Westbrook, like the next tier. Those guys have a right to be in the top 5. Just for me, they're not able to like influence the game on both ends of the court as much. Obviously, Curry can like win a game by himself with just his threes, so I definitely don't overlook that. Harden, I went to school with James Harden. I think he's a fantastic player. I've seen him up close and personal several times, and I know like what type of game he has. He's a great player. And then what did I say next? Westbrook. Yeah, he's like not the most efficient player of all time, but he's just a pit bull on the court, and I love watching him play basketball. You can't take away his energy and his effort and his like talent, and athleticism is through the roof. So I give him a lot of credit for that. After that, I thought about this a bit. I'll go with Joel Embiid and Damian Lillard in no particular order for those two guys. I think Lillard's a fantastic player. He was completely overlooked last year. I've already told you guys I'm buying some of his cards. I don't understand how he's so cheap. He's a fantastic player. Just watch Portland games. He's great. Joel Embiid, he's a great player. He just needs to stay healthy, obviously, but his footwork is phenomenal. He's got crazy moves like Hakeem the Dream. I love watching Joel Embiid play. Like honestly, all of these guys are such like fantastic athletes. I just love the game of basketball in general. I try not to get into like the rankings of stuff, especially like cross era. But this is just sort of like my top 10. These guys are all like 10 fantastic players. There's probably other guys that you guys think should be in the 10. You could argue, and I wouldn't dispute it. These are just like the 10 that I came up with. Devin Krantz, 73. There's talk of PSA and BGS grading authenticating trim cards and fake patches. Look at the KD Exquisite fake patch that just listed with Probstein on eBay. Question is, will these cards hold value if they've been authenticated? Will the grading companies be penalized? How many? Oh, I'll save the last one. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, authenticating trimmed and fake patches is a very serious thing in the hobby, and it's terrible. Obviously, like none of us want that in the hobby. It's on us as collectors to get it out of the hobby by not buying this stuff. Honestly, will it hold its value? Like the trimmed and fake patches stuff? I hope not. Like if that stuff's holding its value, we're all in trouble. We need to get that stuff out of the hobby. We need to not buy it. We need to make it obvious that it's happening. We need to call it out when we see it. And I know Blowout does a fantastic job of this. There's people on Facebook posting, like I saw recently, there was like a Pippin card that was colored, like, and there was a post to avoid it, and we did a good job of sort of like finding that and getting it out. In terms of like having the grading companies be penalized, they're not going to be penalized until you stop giving them your money. It's the same with Panini. Like the only way that you're going to affect these companies is by not giving them your money. The only thing they care about is the bottom line, and any company should care about that. So unless you stop grading your cards with them and you stop buying their product and ripping it, they're going to keep doing it. That's the only way to penalize these companies. They don't care. They're not going to care about like anything until you stop buying it, and then they're going to start to want to change the way they do things. So if we stop grading cards, they would be penalized. But other than that, no. Um, so again, I'll just like stress the importance and the seriousness of this topic. We absolutely, as a community, have to do a better job of getting this stuff out, like blackballing the people who are responsible for trimming cards and get them out, because like nobody wants to have something that they feel was authenticated and that was real and then find out it was fake. I've hit it a couple times. They don't want trimmed cards, to find out later like you've lost out on money. It's not about money, I understand, but like when you're dropping that kind of money on authenticated cards, you want to make sure you have the real deal, and you want to make sure you get what you paid for. So I take this topic very seriously. We need to, like I said, just get that stuff out of here. And ProPSCene and PWCC need to be accountable for taking those listings down. So, and I know they don't want that in the hobby either. Let's see. She blinded me with refractors. What's up, Andy? Have you ever considered collecting football or baseball from the 90s? I have. I'm helping a buddy at work, Ryan, like I mentioned, he had the question earlier. I'm trying to help him get into the 90s football stuff. He likes the Packers, and he's into Rodgers, but I'm trying to get him into like the Favre 90s stuff. For me, like I just don't have any nostalgia over those sports in terms of collecting. Like I love football, but I love it for fantasy football. Honestly, like I don't get into the football cards as much, just because I don't have any attachment to it or like draw into it, and I'm doing well enough in basketball and I'm having enough fun with it that I don't feel the need to at this point. I know the 90s football and baseball stuff is a lot cheaper, and that would be cool. But there's just not like a player or a set from those that would intrigue me very much. The football players that I'm attached to are from that era would be like the Rams of the 90s. So like Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk. I could maybe get into some of that stuff, but I feel like it would just sort of like be like one-off cards that I pick up. It's not like a focus of mine. Kino, AWW Kino. Regrets on cards you've bought or amount you paid. I guess just like the fake cards. I think anyone would regret that, but it wasn't like I did it on purpose. It just sort of happened. Amount you paid, not really. Like, I'm sure like early on I made some mistakes a few years ago where I overpaid for something not knowing what it was worth, or I bought some card like that I thought was going to be mint and it wasn't. Things like that. But in general, like not really. Most of the stuff I've bought I still have. Like I haven't sold a ton amount of stuff, so I don't have too many regrets in terms of what I've bought. I have a lot of regrets on what I've sold just because I want it back. But regrets on not purchasing a card you had the opportunity to get at a certain time, for sure. Like a lot of the LeBron stuff that I want now, I've had a chance to pick up like almost half of what's on my want list, but at the time I just didn't pull the trigger based on money, or I thought I could get it cheaper down the road, or I didn't want to rush into getting too much. So there's definitely some cards on there that I wish I had purchased. I really wish I had bought more of the Ultimate Collection LeBron rookie autos. Like I knew that the prices of those would just jump, just because like the RPAs are out of reach for so many people, and they're like impossible to find. Like the next best thing is the Ultimate Rookie, and the prices just seemed too low for me relative to the RPA. So I should have just bought like every 9.5 I found, but who has like 15, whatever they got, 15 grand or whatever they were last year? Who has that just sitting around? I can't just like buy 10 of them. And I could have like cashed out my 401k, but that's crazy. What made you decide not to buy the card at the time? It's usually just money. Rated rookie cards. What are your 10 favorite penny cards in your collection? Why? Yes, I'm prepared. I have 10 cards ready for you. Oh, I missed this. I was going to say it when I got to Adam's question, but I did get the lottery prize back from PSA today. It's the lottery prize refractor, PSA 7. It's authenticated. It's got the peel. It's real. It's like terribly centered, so that's like basically why it's a 7. The rest of the card is mint, and the surface has some bubbles. That happens with the peels, but I love the peel card, so glad to have this thing in a PSA slab. Waited a while to get that one. Top 10 in no particular order. Hardaway, Ultra Stars Gold. I'm gonna go kind of fast. 97 hoops, high voltage 500. This is. I'm missing one. Here we go. Jambalaya. The original, the OG Jambalaya. I have a LeBron Jambalaya, but this one's better than the rest. It's kind of lame, but like the PMGs and the rubies, it's like, you know, those are your most expensive cards. Of course, they're their favorite. They're the most like rare. They're the most like fun for the chase for me to get them. They took me the longest to acquire. I had to like do crazy stuff to get some of these cards, and it's just like they have a lot of meaning to me, and they're just my 10 favorites. So then the next I'll go 98, 99 PMG. I don't really need to say much about these cards. You guys know I have them. They're fantastic. 97 Premium Star Rubies Team Set Edition. Sweet card. 97, 98 Metal Universe PMG Championship. Can't get a good shine on the video, but sweet card. Check out my Instagram for that one. 97, 98 Metal Universe Precious Metal. Look at that. Look at that red shine. Fantastic. Not much needs to be said about that one. Yes, I know I don't have the green. That's great. 97, 98 Star Rubies. You guys know what I had to do to get that one. 98, 99 Star Rubies. And last but not least, 97, 98 Game Jersey. This was the first one that I bought where I was like, I get it now. I know why people like cards. This is fantastic. I'm going to go back. I didn't answer your last question, Devin Current, 73. You asked me, how many felonies would you commit in order to obtain a penny PMG green? Please specify. 0. I would not commit a felony. I want to obtain the card in a fair and honest way and pay the price that the card is worth. And I want to get it and enjoy it. I don't want to have to commit a felony. I know you're joking. And I know you want like a funny answer, but I can't think of anything funny other than just like a lot of felonies. That's not, I would never commit a felony for a piece of cardboard, so 0. And then back to the top 10. That's my top 10. I hope that satisfies you. The Lucky Show 05. What's up, man? Love talking to you on Instagram. Will we be seeing more Lillards and ADs or anyone else? I don't think you intended for this question to like be on the channel, but it is because it ended in a question mark. So, boom. Yes, you will. Lillard and Anthony Davis, I feel, are the two most undervalued players, hobby-wise, and I'll leave it at that. I am collecting those two players based on their underpriced cards relative to their skill. Double X the Beast. What's up, man? What 90s product? I'm getting tired. We're getting towards the end. I hope you guys have stuck with this whole thing. I didn't really have like a set duration of time that I would plan for this to go. I just wanted to answer everyone's questions, and I know it'll keep people excited on their drives to LA. So shout out to those people. What 90s product was the most disappointing from a standpoint of being a letdown from a prior release? Man, you know those sets so much better than I do. Your answer would be so much better. I think 99, 2000, just like in general. 98, 99 had so much awesome stuff. You had your Star Rubies, you had your PMGs, you had like Gem Masters. You still had, you know, your Legacy Showcase cards. You had just credentials. You had awesome stuff, but like 99, 2000, like none of that stuff is as popular, and for good reason. It's just not as good looking. You know, it didn't have as many desirable players. It doesn't have Jordan anymore. You know, he wasn't in the set, so that's a big part of it. Basically, anything from 99, 2000 for me just like is a huge letdown. Like, I can't even like think of a card that stands out from that. Like, I have the 99, 2000 Showcase Legacy number to 20, which is a cool card, but like, where's like the Rose and, you know, what happened to all that stuff? They just sort of like ditched it. It's just a letdown in general. That's kind of a like cop-out answer, but you'd give a better answer than me anyways. And Funk, last question. Nate, what's up, man? My LeBron homie. I did go to the Lakers game last night. Sorry, the Suns game. The Lakers were in town. I'm in Arizona, and I went to go see it. And I went to watch LeBron. Let's be real. It was fantastic. He's so much better in person. Just like seeing him command the court, like just seeing Nate here, like made me sidetrack about LeBron. Do you think LeBron's and this is the only LeBron question I've got, which is crazy. This should have been like way more. Do you think LeBron's 2018-19 cards will see a big price jump with him being in a Lakers uniform? If so, how much? Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, the Lakers market is a lot bigger. LA obviously is a much bigger market than Cleveland. Just in that alone, you're going to see a big jump. I think people sort of like, me included, or sort of like interested to see him on a new team. Like, just watch the Cavs this year. They're going to be terrible. Like, it'll be nice to see kind of LeBron with like fresh blood, some younger players, a new market, one that'll like surround him with talent better than Cleveland could, just because of the market that they're in. And that's not like a knock specifically on Cleveland. I think they did the best they could. LeBron gave him everything he had. It's sort of like a nice fresh start for everybody, and I think Cleveland fans, are happy for LeBron to see him succeed and move on. But I think you're just going to see probably like 25-30% jump in prices. Just like it's something fresh. People are going to want like him in a different uniform. The Lakers jerseys are obviously like historic and fantastic. So people will be excited and they'll jump on the hype of him on the Lakers. I know you and I will like literally be fighting over the Galactics from from this coming season. I hope they get him in a sweet like action shot in the Lakers jersey. Absolutely, prices will they're gonna go up, man. Like we're just gonna have to pay the prices. That's just the way it goes. Thank you for sticking with this, guys. I hope it was enjoyable. I hope it was informative. Please tell me how I was an idiot on some of these. I welcome the discussion. We can continue this on any other forum. Hit me up on Instagram. We'll chat about some of these things. Maybe you think I'm just like totally off my rocker on some of it. Maybe you think I'm a genius and you want to talk about that. Whatever. So that's all I have for this video. I let me know what you guys think about the format. I want to know if I should like keep doing this kind of stuff, or you want me to just go back to interviews. I don't know like what you guys think about it. So let me know. That's all I got. See ya.